Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM from Houston, Texas. This is February 15, 2021. You may be wondering, what is this picture? This is a picture in front of my place with the snow. As you know, I live in Houston, Texas, or Sugarland for that matter, which is in the southwest suburb of Houston. It's been almost 10 years before we had snow in Houston. So I just wanted to give you a glimpse of snow in Houston in the heart of Texas on February 15, 2021. Of course, I lived in snowbelt area for 4 years. I'm used to heavy snow, but this is something special. People get exhilarated when they look at snow in Houston, especially the children. Let's continue with our feature presentation. The secrets for a successful YouTube channel depends on you. You are the product. You are the service. You are the driving force. Whatever you present, however you present, and whenever you present is going to make a difference. The second important quality is to have good sound system. If your sound is coming from a distance, or if you have a lot of noise, people are going to turn off. Of course, I'm using a Focusrite 2x2 sound box. I need to get an audio editing software to edit the software which I am currently recording using Camtasia, which I'll talk about in a minute. Of course, lighting, backdrop, and accents. I have two lights right in front of me with the LED light bulbs with 5000 Kelvin temperature. Backdrop, which was created by using simple materials like a screen and a frame for less than $100. I have videos for each one of these, the lighting, audio, backdrop. But the main focus of this presentation is as we move from webcam, right now I'm recording in a webcam, as we move from a webcam to a more professional video production, we are going to have a professional camera like Canon M50, a mirrorless camera, or Sony Alpha 6000. Or you can even use a DSLR camera, because you're just using them like just cameras for the video feed purpose. You're not actually recording on those devices, so they are just standing there to provide the image. For example, I have my Sony Handycam here, which can serve as one of the video sources. I'm a professional photographer. I also have a Nikon D750 camera with multiple lenses, but the kit lens, which is 24-120, will do all the work, and it is a fixed f4 stop. And our computer monitor is going to be one of the sources. And I'm going to cover in detail each one of these items so you have a good shopping list before you even start ordering your stuff. Then you're going to need a monitor to see exactly what is being showed at any given moment. I will touch upon that. And what is being shown is something you want to record so that you can edit it and create a professional finished product, a video, which is a mirror image of you, your ideas, your thoughts, and your feelings. There are multiple editing softwares available. I use Camtasia right now. I also have OBS, which I need to kind of jazz it up. But I have extensively used Adobe Premiere for my all video productions in the past. I used to have television studio with internet television studio. I have interviewed more than 500 times. I have primarily used Adobe Premiere, where we bring all these video clips and sound clips and synchronize the sound tracks and edit the videos channels. Okay, let us begin with the ATEM Mini. That is the main focus of this presentation. ATEM Mini comes with a power supply, but there are like 50 different things you need in order to make this ATEM fully applicable to your YouTube studio setup. So I'm going to go through this very slowly so that we all can understand what is needed to get this off the ground and turn your webcam based studio into a professional YouTube studio in a matter of days. Just days I'm talking about. Here's the ATEM. Basically, it is a video switcher. As I told you in the beginning, we're going to need an audio source coming into. So whatever people see on the YouTube is what matters. They listen to your audio, they listen to you and the material you're trying to present, whether you're showing how to use a camera or how to build a cabinet, whatever it is, those should be able to see you and your work and your services. This is where the multi-camera projections comes into play, and the ATEM is the main hub which enables us to bring multiple cameras, like the camera for the headshot, the camera for the products, and the camera for a wide angle of your studio to show the good, bad, and the ugly. Hey, you're a YouTuber, you're not creating like a Star Wars or something. Who cares? You want to show your guts like the surgeons do. So this is the YouTube switcher. This is the video switcher. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have 4 HDMI inputs coming into this ATEM Mini, and then one HDMI output goes to a display monitor, which displays what is being showed. Then one of them goes, this is the one, this is the HDMI. There are 4 inputs, and this is the HDMI output, which goes to the monitor. And here's the USB, which takes the same information going to the monitor as like a video feed, like a web feed. So this will be recognized as a webcam by most softwares like OBS and others. And that's where you bring that one channel and you control the various inputs by using these switches. Okay, you want the main headshot, you press 1. You want to show the keyboard movements, you press 2. You want to show the wide angle, you press 3. You want to show the screen, your monitoring screen, the computer where you're showing your PowerPoint presentation or videos, then you press 4. I'm just giving you an example. Then there are a whole lot of other things that you can do with the audio and also picture in picture. So if you're demonstrating something like games or Microsoft Flight Simulators, something like that, then you can have a picture in picture. If you're doing PowerPoint presentation, you can use picture in picture, and there's the way you cut from one screen to the other, a whole host of things. First of all, you need to order ATEM Mini, which costs about $295. I will order it from a reputable source where you can easily return it without any hassle, just in case you don't like it, or if you feel that the functions were less than what you needed. It says Mini Pro here, that's like $550, something like that. But ATEM Mini is $295. Let's go. This is the power supply. This is the network. The only way this ATEM Mini can talk to your computer and transfer data from all different sources to the monitor, this is the monitor HDMI output or USB output, is through the network. If you have a computer sitting here and if your router is sitting next to that, the chances are the router has a network output so you can hook up a network cable. You can get a network cable like this. You can hook up the router to the ATEM network port. If your router is not close to the computer, and if you just pulled a cable from a router 30 feet away from your computer, then you're going to need a switch like this, which costs $15 to $20. The reason I'm saying is because even if you are missing one component, you will not be able to get the ATEM Mini up and running. So I'm trying to do all the research, put it here so that you can do all your shopping at one time. You may have to revamp your entire studio because usually, for example, if you have a desk, we push it to the wall, but that's not going to work. If you want to put 2 cameras and multiple stands for multiple cameras, the desk has to be in the middle of the room, and your wall has to be set so many feet apart from you, whatever you create, the back wall. So there are a lot of things that we have to take into account. We talked about ATEM Mini unit. I talked about the network cables and network switch. There are 4 HDMI inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4. The interesting thing about HDMI input is it has to do with the HDMI coming from your source. For example, this camcorder has, let me show you, I don't know if you can see it, has a micro HDMI output. Can you see it? Has a micro HDMI output. For that, I'm going to need a micro HDMI on one side and a regular HDMI on the other side. So the micro HDMI goes into the camcorder and the regular HDMI goes into the ATEM Mini. So that's number 1. Number 2, your camera. For example, my Nikon camera has HDMI Mini. Okay, they give you a 3 feet cable, that's not going to work. So you have to get a HDMI Mini to HDMI, so that I usually get like 10 feet or so, or 15 feet better, so that it will connect the camera, whether this is Nikon, Sony or Canon. So it will connect, and that would be probably your main headshot camera. So that's the cable we're going to need. And sometimes what happens, you have all the cables, but one of them is like 2 feet short. So to be proactive, I would say you get a HDMI extension cable just in case you run short, because you can't get the show on the road if you're short of one cable. I will get a different colored HDMI for the one which is going output, so that the color coded will make it a lot easier to see which one is going inside and which one is going outside. Always use different colors because it helps a great deal to make things simplified. Next, we are going to also need a USB. I think it is USB 3, blue, to connect from your ATEM machine to your computer, which will be your video source, main source, which is thought to be like a webcam. So we talked about all these HDMI, different flavors of HDMI. Audio. I talked about my audio setup, which doesn't even have to go through ATEM Mini system, because mine is going straight into the Focusrite 2x2 sound card, and my Camtasia, the recording software, can recognize that, so I don't need to. But if you're using the headphone camera as your main audio source, then you're going to have to run that headphone source into the computer, so that plus you're also going to need an extension cable to be able to get the audio from your side into the system. Think about that. And video input sources. We talked about headshot, which you usually can do with Canon, Sony, Nikon, iPhone. I wouldn't use iPhone. You can use iPhone for one of those wide angle sources, something like that. The best would be Canon, Sony or Nikon. You invest in a camera which might cost you, $500 to $1,000, but it is a one-time investment that can last you for a decade. And this is one camera for the side view and one camera from the top. You always need to have one camera from the top, so you can display whatever is on your table in terms of product reviews, or showing keyboard movements. And your computer screen is one of the sources which of course can show everything that's shown on computer, including PowerPoint, videos, and things like that. And a separate recording monitor I talked about, which goes through the HDMI output. And this can be your iPad. Of course, when you use iPad, you're going to need a HDMI to Lightning conversion so that your iPad can serve as a monitor, or even your iPhone can serve as a monitor, because you already have these things sitting on your desk, so you don't want to clutter your desk with more and more stuff. But if you just Google, you see for about 7-inch monitors you can get, which is purely HDMI to HDMI. They give you 1080p and also have 4K capabilities, so that you can have a dedicated monitor to see exactly what is being shown. That's another alternative. Here's an interesting thing about this ATEM Mini, which makes it totally unique in that your video sources, one of them could be 720p, another one could be 4K, a third one could be like 1080p, and the fifth one could be anything. But the output can be all formatted to one single source like 1080p, 30 or 60 frames. If you are just making regular presentations, if you are just doing product reviews, or if you're doing instructional classes, 1080p 30 frames should be more than adequate setup. So I would not waste too much time trying to learn about the intricacies of 24 frames, 30 frames, 60 frames. Okay, if you do 60 frames, your video size will be 4 times bigger than a 1080p. So it will take so much longer to produce the video. Think about it. Whereas if you use 720p, it may be below standard compared to most other people. So I would start off with 1080p, 30 frames, get familiar with this one, then learn to fine tune the audios, then proceed with the minor upgrades. And I talked about audio source. Mine, I'm using it, but every channel, because this is our HDMI input, every channel can have its own audio input. Let's say your second camera is like in a different room where you're interviewing people. So you want to get the audio from that camera, and that can be done, and that can be modified, and that can be edited also, for example, in the software. Okay, here are the connections, and here's your network, and here's your USB, which is going as a webcam, as a power supply, to audio outputs or inputs. Okay, the next thing is we have to download the software. The software is not needed to run ATEM by itself, but you have to have the network so that the ATEM can talk to the computer and other devices. And here's how you can sort of wrap them up so that it looks a little more clear on your desk. You can also use this HDMI output for recording to an external hard drive. Okay, talking about ATEM software, I would suggest you not only download the software, but also download the manual, which can be done from Blackmagic website. And the interesting thing is the ATEM Mini manual is only 1860 pages. So you should be able to wrap this up in a weekend. This ATEM manual has everything you need to know about all the different connections, about all the different settings, about audio options available, and there's a lot of audio editing that can be done using compression and a lot of other things. So I would suggest you look up this manual. What I usually do is download these manuals into my computer, email it to myself, then I download that on my iPad. So when I'm just lying down or when I'm sitting on the sofa, I can relax and read a few pages every time. That's how I try to do that. This is from the manual actually. It gives you a complete description of everything that you need to know. So I think without investing time, we cannot make progress. Without sweating, we cannot accomplish anything. In order to move something, we have to use our muscles. In order to succeed in YouTube, we have to use our brain muscles along with this technology. And here is the monitor I was talking about, there are several varieties. For $150, you get a 7-inch dedicated monitor which you can see, but for the time being, I think you can replace this with either an iPhone or an iPad by using HDMI to Lightning conversion, which is pretty simple to get. Here is a setup of 2 cameras, and here's a setup of like these 2 people, and this is a close-up of this lady here. So this is a simple way to set up. Once you set it up, it's pretty easy to run, and all you have to do is select the buttons 1, 2, 3 or 4, and you just keep doing your video recordings and presentations, but it will look very professional, so you don't have to record 4 multiple channels, and editing becomes extremely easy. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a short but long-winded coverage of ATEM Mini shopping list, tips on how to take your YouTube channel from a webcam, light and camera to a more professional looking video presentations. In the next presentation, I am going to cover how to set up the ATEM Mini and test various different cameras. Another thing which I forgot to mention is these cameras don't stand on themselves, so you got to order stands, arms, so that for the product the camera has to sit here almost in front of this, but it's not easy. So that's another thing you have to do, which I didn't mention, and you'll have more challenge finding like table mounts with side arms to keep these cameras in place to record the things. Anyway, we learn each day and we make progress. Please do subscribe to our channel, and I will see you next time.